Texans try to recover. We know deadly floods are still having an impact on other parts of the country. Just last night, torrential downpours caused flash floods in southern New Mexico. Homes were swept away. People were trapped for hours. And we're hearing reports this morning that at least 3 people have died. CBS News correspondent Shanelle Kaul has been monitoring the situation from our newsroom. And Shanelle, what do we know about this so far?
Well, such a desperate situation there. We've been looking at some of the video all morning today, Mugo. Officials this morning providing an update just a couple of moments ago, declaring a state of emergency in Ruidoso. Take a listen to what officials there are saying.
We can confirm that 3 people lost their lives yesterday in the flooding, and the victims include an adult male, approximately 40 to 50 years old, that we're still identifying, a 7-year-old male child, a 4-year-old female child. Out of respect for the families during this difficult time, we are not releasing their identities at this time. Injuries and medical care. We have 3 individuals that were transported to Lincoln County Medical Center for treatment. All 3 patients are currently in stable condition. Scale of flooding event. This is historic water levels that we experienced. The USGS, the United States Geological Survey gauge at Hollywood in the Rio Ruidoso crested at a historical high of 20 feet. Last year during the historic flood, it was over 15 feet, so we're 5 feet over last year. The water level was again 5 feet over last year, which was a record. This represents truly unprecedented flooding in our community. The warning, timeline, and emergency response. How did we respond? When did they go out? The National Weather Service alerts. The flash flood was issued at 8 a.m. on July the 8th. The flash flood warning was upgraded at 2:20 p.m. on July the 8th. The flash flood emergency was declared at 2:47 p.m. on July the 8th. So as you can tell, it came on pretty sudden. The IPAWS emergency alerts, 1:58 p.m., the warning alert sent to the Rio Ruidoso area. 2:19 p.m., the alert sent for Cedar Creek and Paradise Canyon area. That was to let everybody know to go to higher ground immediately. The outdoor warning system was not activated yesterday, as it is specifically reserved for full town evacuation scenarios. We had a lot of questions on that. The localized nature of yesterday's flooding did not warrant the full town evacuation. Rescue operations. The swiftwater rescues, our emergency responders conducted approximately 65 swiftwater rescues during yesterday's event. Current resources and contact information. We have a missing persons hotline, so if there's someone you have not been able to get in touch with, call this number, 575-637-0398. This is dedicated.
And Mugo, just to put things into perspective here, because we are tracking so much active weather across the country today, this unfolding in the village of Ruidoso, that's what officials are saying. This is in southern New Mexico. And during that press conference, Mugo, we also learned that it could be days before services there are fully restored. We're talking about water, gas, electric power right now. So many people are without those essential services this hour, and crews there are on the ground trying to restore those services around the clock. Also important to note here, the National Weather Service is keeping a close eye on the forecast because there is still an additional risk ahead. Officials say they expect the weather there to build later today, with critical areas being hit between 1 and 4 p.m. local time. Search and rescue operations, meantime, still continue this hour, Mugo. The New Mexico Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management is saying at least 65 people have already been rescued, and some of those people were trapped in their homes, they were trapped in their vehicles, and were struggling to get out. Now, according to our team of CBS News meteorologists, Mugo, the river level jumped 18 feet in just 30 minutes. So as you heard from officials there, this all unfolded so quickly. The search and rescue operations on the ground continuing this hour.
Just so sad to hear 3 people have already died from that. Shanelle Kaul, thank you for your reporting. All right, we're going to bring in meteorologist Zoe Mintz now because, as you heard Shanelle there say, the storm's not over. There's still a possibility of more?
No, and I lived in New Mexico for 2 years. I forecasted for those areas, and this is the monsoon. This is what they typically see this time of year when afternoon showers and thunderstorms develop over the mountains. But unfortunately, that location, Ruidoso, is directly downhill from a burn scar from the South Fork fire that was back in 2024. And burn scar flash flooding, a huge issue for this one little area. I want to take it behind me and kind of break down exactly what we're expecting throughout this afternoon and evening, because there is still that flood watch that's in effect as a lot of rain again fell on the northern half of the Sacramento Mountains yesterday in New Mexico. Taking a look at the river levels, like I said, they are used to seeing afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Over the past several days, they have seen those river levels spiking up to about 5 feet. That's typical, but they saw so much rain yesterday directly over the South Fork fire. All of that rain traveled down the Rio Ruidoso, and river levels went from 1.5 feet jumped to 18.5 feet in under 30 minutes. So that is the reason that there was such terrible flash flooding. And because it fell on a burn scar, that made it, unfortunately, even more devastating. It created what's known as a debris flow. It only takes about 1 to 2 inches of rain to create flash flooding, to create the debris flow. Without burn scars, normally the soil is able to more readily accept any rain that falls. But when a wildfire goes through, it creates what's known as hydrophobic soil, which means the soil is no longer able to absorb any water. So after a wildfire, there's a layer of ash and burnt topsoil. So when really heavy rain falls, it doesn't absorb into the ground. It takes that layer of ash, it takes that layer of burnt debris, and it all flows downhill. So with really extreme angles on the hills in the Sacramento Mountains, Ruidoso is in a valley, they are likely, unfortunately, going to continue to see the potential for flash flooding. 1 to 2 inches is possible over that area in New Mexico this afternoon, but luckily they are not seeing nearly the heaviest of the rainfall throughout this afternoon. Who is seeing the heaviest rainfall is across the eastern half of the United States, where there is going to be upwards of 2 to 3 inches from the Carolinas up to the Virginias, including places like Washington, D.C., where there is that flood watch in effect throughout this afternoon as well. There's also a bullseye over Iowa where up to 4 to 6 inches is possible as well throughout this afternoon. I could definitely see flash flooding being a big concern as we step out today. So taking things back to the ground, showing you exactly what we can expect over the next several hours. Again, New Mexico is going to be seeing those afternoon showers and thunderstorms thanks to the monsoon, while the eastern half of the United States is going to be dealing with strong, slow-moving thunderstorms. Once again, the potential for severe weather as well. I'll break down even more details on what you can expect from the Carolinas up to New York City this afternoon coming up in just a bit.